Hey guys, you're welcome back again to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to share this tutorial with you. As you can see, it's a DIY sling bag. Thanks for 2,000 subscribers. I appreciate you all. Let's dive into the video. I will need the interfacing, my fabric, my thread, scissors, measuring tape, Velcro, plastic ladders and rotate snap hooks, my shank button, my pins, my zipper, my ruler and my lining. I cut out 2 equal pieces of fabric and they are 19 inches by 17 inches in dimension. I took a piece, I folded it into 2 on the wrong side, then got my measuring tape and I marked out 4 inches like so. After which I used my free hand to make a curve. You could as well use a curve ruler, whichever one you choose is still very okay. I then cut out along the line. I also did this with the other fabric, then cut out lining for the both of them using the same measurement as well. So now I have 2 fabrics and 2 linings, one for the front panel and one for the back panel. And again, I just attached my interfacing to the fabric, and you do this on the wrong side using a hot iron. So I've set one aside. I'm going to be working on the front panel now. So what I did was just to cut out a small piece which will serve as the pocket, and it's about 8 inches by 8 inches in dimension. Then I also cut out the lining for the pocket. I again cut out the pocket cover of about 8 inches by 2.5 inches. What I did here was to turn it with a lining, that is, I sewed the lining and the fabric, then turned it inside out. How do you do that? You just sew it and create a little opening. It is through that opening you are going to turn inside out. And for the pocket cover, I wanted to make it look beautiful, so I just created a curve that way, then also attached my lining to it like so, then also turned it inside out. Mind you, when you are sewing this kind of fabric, you make sure the right side of the fabric is facing the right side of the lining. When I was done, I gave it a good press. You can see how flat it's looking. I got a black bias to cover the edge of the pocket cover, and this also gives it extra beauty. As you can see, it looks fine. It's time to attach my Velcro. I cut out a small piece. I separated it, pinned each to each piece of the fabric. I tried to make sure it's well centralized, both on the pocket cover and on the pocket itself. I actually secured it with pins. I stitched on them like so, following that pattern. Then when I was done stitching, I got my shank button to cover the stitches on the pocket cover. Mind you, I had already trimmed off the other part of the button. I just used my fabric glue to glue it onto it this way. Apart from the fact that it's actually covering the stitches, it's also giving it an extra beauty. The next thing I did was to transfer the pieces to the front panel of the bag. Then I pinned it down this way. I first of all stitched on the pocket itself. I also stitched down the pocket cover. As you can see, it's looking beautiful already. I later placed the front panel on the lining like this, ensuring that the 2 wrong sides were facing each other. I also ensured that they were properly aligned. I started holding the 2 fabrics down with pins. So I created a curve like this that will serve as the part where the zipper will be. Mind you, there is a lining underneath, so I just cut this part out. This means that I have the upper and the lower side. Then I went ahead to face the two right sides together like this. I held them down with pins. I went ahead to sew round the edges of the fabric that way, leaving an opening for turning. Now I'm done sewing round. Because there is a curve on the fabric, I had to notch that way so that when I turn it inside out, it will relax. I still had to notch the upper part of the bag. I'm turning it inside out, which I will also still do for the smaller piece. One thing I like about this bag is that it was really worth the time, and again, it can be styled in different ways. You could carry it like a backpack, you could carry it like a sling bag. Whichever way, you are still very okay. I have also just turned the smaller piece inside out and now closed the opening. For the back panel, I also attached the lining just the way I did for the front panel. I just aligned the two panels now, that is the front and the back panel. I did it in such a way that after inserting my zipper, they will still be of equal dimension. For you to fix your zipper neatly and with less stress, it's advisable you do a rough stitch by using your needle and your thread first, preferably using a different color of thread. That's exactly what I'm doing now. I just did a kind of rough running stitches. Then I did for the lower part as well. When I was done doing this, I then transferred it to my sewing machine to do a proper sewing. Then after doing a proper sewing, I loosened the previous stitches. Hope you understand. This will make sure your work comes out very neat. So you can see me loosening the old stitches. When I was done removing the old stitches, I just trimmed the excess zipper. Can you see the way it's looking very neat? Now I want to work on the back panel. I just got my measuring tape, came up by 2.5 inches from the bottom. I did it on both sides, but if you are not sure if they are equal, you could as well fold it that way, then mark the foldings. With that, you can't go wrong. Then I got my webbing strap. I just inserted it into the ladder lock this way. I didn't really measure it. I just felt that length was enough. So I got 2 pieces for the 2 sides of the bag. What I did was to pass the webbing strap like that. Then I just held it with pins so that it doesn't shift from the original position. Then I did the same with the other side. Then I went ahead to my sewing machine to stitch the 2 sides down. I've just stitched. I went ahead to measure the edge of the back panel like this. I got about 56 inches, but I added like extra inch for sewing allowance and then folding allowance as well. The next thing I did was to cut out a long piece of the 56 inches. Mind you, I added like an extra inch allowance. Then I also cut out the lining as well. I attached the interfacing to the fabric that way. And now I'm placing the 2 right sides of the fabric together this way. I'm going to hold with pins. I'll be taking it to the sewing machine now. I will sew it all the way down, then turn it inside out. To get the midpoint of the bag, I folded it into 2 that way, then I marked it. I also folded this other piece into 2, then I also marked it. I will be aligning the two markings this way. Also note the two right sides are facing each other. What I practically did here was to hold the two fabrics down with pins. I made sure I did it very neatly because this will determine how it will look on your back. Then after doing this, I went ahead to stitch on my sewing machine. Here is how it looks after stitching. If you check the base of the bag, you will see where I ended the sewing. So the extra 1 inch was what I folded to make it look neat that way. I got another two pieces of about 8 inches by 4.5 inches respectively. I also cut out the lining as well with the same measurement. Watch how I arrange the pieces. I placed the right side of the lining on the wrong side of the fabric. I did this for the other fabric as well. Then I later placed one on top of the other that way. Then I folded it into two equally. I then got my measuring tape and marked out 1.5 inch. From that mark, I just drew a line to the corner of the fabric, after which I cut out. Here is how it looks after cutting. So what I did was just to take it to my sewing machine to sew on the two sides that way. Then I trimmed off those parts. I turned it inside out. This is how it looks. It's actually to hold the straps of the bag. I went ahead to stitch it to the back panel that way. Oops, I almost forgot to insert the bag handle. I just created a hole to fix in the handle, then I stitch it down again. I just cut out the straps of the bag now. I also cut out the lining as well. The measurements are about 26 inches by 4 inches. The next thing I did was to place the two fabrics, that is the lining and the fabric itself, together, and I folded the two raw ends that way. Then I went ahead to stitch down. I did it for the two straps. I placed the zipper in the middle and I pinned it all the way down. After doing this, I went ahead to the sewing machine to stitch. Here is how it looks after stitching. It's just so neat, both on this side and on the other side. I just trimmed out little excess. I will go ahead to fix it into the strap casing, but before then I will have to fold in the raw ends of the casing that way before putting in the straps. Then I will stitch on it. I'm done doing that. I will be showing you how I fix my rotate snap hook. I had already fixed one, so what I did was to cut out a webbing strap, something of about say 3 to 4 inches. Then I passed it through the rotate snap. Then I folded in the raw ends of the strap. Can you see that? After which I fixed it inside, took it to the sewing machine to stitch. I believe this is clear enough. Just watch the process again. So I'm done fixing the snap hooks. We have gotten to the last stage of the bag, that is coupling the front and the back panel. To make things easy, it's good you just hold the straps down with pin so it doesn't interfere with the sewing. Then I place the front panel on the back panel this way. Remember, the two right sides are facing each other. But before I did that, I had to open the zipper a little because this time around I won't be leaving any opening. I'll be sewing all the way around. And you know, when you do it all the way around, there will not be a way to open it and turn inside out. I had to quickly open the zipper a little. Then I aligned everything again. I pinned down again, like I had to do it neatly. So after pinning down, I went ahead to the sewing machine to stitch. I'm now done stitching and I'm turning it to the right side from the zipper. You see why I had to open the zipper a little. I finally turned it inside out. You may decide to put bias to cover your sewing inside, but to me I feel it's not necessary because my sewing inside is neat. The sewing is a bit different from the bag I made previously. I had to use bias to cover the sewings. You could also check the video out. The bag is ready. I have just inserted the rotating snap hook to the ladder locks, and just look at this bag. Isn't it unique? You can either style it this way, or you could decide to remove the rotating hook and pin it to the other side of the ladder lock, and then it becomes a monostrap bag. You can see it. Or if you like, you could also decide to fix it on the other ladder lock. Whichever way is fine. Or you may decide to carry it with the black handle. Just look at it. Isn't this beautiful? Look at the way I'm rocking my bag now. You could also make one for yourself and share your experience in the comment section. Please subscribe to my channel. To my returning subscribers, I appreciate you. Do like, comment, and share my videos. See you in my next one, and bye.